That night, as you prepare for sleep, you find a small package beneath your sleeping mat. Inside is a simple bronze mirror, nothing elaborate, but far finer than anything someone of your station would typically own. There's no note, no indication of the giver, but the coincidence is too perfect to ignore. You hold the mirror up, studying your reflection in the dim light. The face that looks back is no longer a child's. At 14, you've developed the sharp awareness of someone much older. Your eyes hold secrets. Your mouth has learned when to speak and when to stay silent. You've survived another year in the Forbidden City. Not just survived, you've navigated its treacherous waters with increasing skill. You've protected yourself and, in your own small way, even protected an enemy from herself. Tomorrow brings new challenges, new dangers, new opportunities. But tonight, with your bronze mirror hidden safely away, you allow yourself a moment of quiet pride. You're learning to play the game by your own rules. You're 16, and the Forbidden City's harem has carved you into something sharp, like a blade forged in fear. Your bound feet ache, your smiles are masks, and your eyes miss nothing. You've learned to dodge the consort's venomous glares and slip past their traps. But every day is a tightrope walk over a pit of snakes. The Emperor's noticed you again, 3 years since that first night when he sent you away for being too young. Now you're not too young anymore. It happens during the Autumn Moon Festival. You're arranging chrysanthemums in the Hall of Supreme Harmony when he enters unexpectedly, a small entourage of eunuchs trailing behind him. Everyone drops to their knees, foreheads pressed to the floor. Everyone except you, hands full of flowers, caught mid-arrangement. You freeze, then drop everything, falling into a deep kowtow as petals scatter across the polished floor. "The garden girl," he says, and your blood runs cold at being remembered. "Still working with flowers, I see." "Yes, Your Majesty," you murmur to the floor. "Rise," he commands. "Let me look at you properly." You stand on trembling legs, eyes downcast as protocol demands. 3 years of palace living have taught you many things, but nothing prepares you for the Emperor's direct attention. "You've grown," he observes. Is that approval in his voice? You dare not hope. Hope is dangerous here. "Bring her to my chambers tonight," he tells his chief eunuch, not asking, not wondering if you're willing, just stating a fact like commenting on the weather. The eunuchs nod, faces impassive. They've arranged thousands of such commands. You're just another name on an endless list of women summoned to the dragon bed. That afternoon is a blur. You're excused from your garden duties and whisked away to be prepared, bathed in perfumed water, skin scrubbed until it hurts, hair washed, oiled, styled in the latest court fashion, face painted white with rouge on cheeks and lips, dressed in layers of fine silk. You've only ever handled as laundry. Lady Chen visits during the preparations. She's risen higher in the past year, now a 5th-rank consort with her own small retinue of maids. "Remember what I taught you," she says quietly. "Be pleasing but not eager, responsive but not forward, and whatever happens, do not cry." "What if I disappoint him?" The question escapes before you can stop it. Her eyes soften briefly, then harden again. "Then you'll return to the gardens and continue as before. One night with the Emperor doesn't define your worth unless you get pregnant." The word hangs in the air between you. Pregnancy, the ultimate goal and greatest danger for every concubine. A son means power, status, security. A daughter means slight improvement in rank but little else. No child at all means you return to your previous station, perhaps with a small token of imperial favour. "If you conceive," Lady Chen continues, "everything changes. You'll have enemies you can't even imagine. The Empress herself will notice you, and not favourably." "Has he visited you?" you dare to ask. A shadow crosses her face. "Once, 3 years ago." No pregnancy then. You understand now why she's invested so much in you. You're her proxy, her second chance at power. If you rise, she rises with you. As darkness falls, you're led through silent corridors to the Emperor's chambers, not carried naked like the high-ranking concubines. You're not important enough for that ritual, just walked there by two stone-faced eunuchs who've seen it all before. The Emperor's private quarters are surprisingly simple, luxurious, yes, with the finest furnishings and art, but not the overwhelming display of wealth you expected. He sits at a desk, reading reports, still dressed in semi-formal robes. You kowtow at the entrance, heart threatening to burst from your chest. "The garden girl, your majesty," the chief eunuch announces before backing away, leaving you alone with the most powerful man in China. "Or rise," the emperor says without looking up. "Pour me tea." You obey, moving to the small table where a teapot sits warming over a tiny brazier. Your hands shake slightly as you prepare the cup. This, at least, you know how to do well. Lady Chen insisted you learn the formal tea ceremony to imperial standards. You kneel and offer the cup with both hands, eyes downcast. He takes it, fingers brushing yours briefly. "Your name?" You tell him, surprised he doesn't remember. Then again, he's had hundreds of women since that night 3 years ago. "Ah, yes," he says, sipping the tea. "The honest worker, I remember now." He studies you over the rim of his cup. "You still work in the gardens?" "Yes, your majesty. Under head gardener Zhang." "You enjoy it?" The question catches you off guard. No one in the palace has ever asked if you enjoy your work. Yes, your majesty. Plants are honest. They respond to care without schemes or secrets." He laughs, a surprisingly warm sound, unlike people at court. "I wouldn't know, your majesty." A safe answer. "Of course you would," he counters. "You've survived 3 years here. That requires understanding schemes and secrets." You remain silent, unsure how to respond. Is this a trap? A test? He sets down his teacup and gestures to a low stool near his desk. "Sit. Tell me about the gardens. What's blooming now?" For the next hour, you talk about chrysanthemums and plum blossoms, autumn herbs and winter preparations. He asks intelligent questions, showing genuine interest. The conversation gradually shifts to court gossip. Who's allied with whom? Which officials are feuding? Which consorts have fallen from favour? You navigate carefully, sharing only what's common knowledge, nothing that could be traced back to Lady Chen or Lady Sun. The Emperor listens, occasionally nodding or asking for clarification. You realise with a start that this is why you're here, not just for physical pleasure, but for information. As a low-ranking garden girl, you see things the Emperor's usual companions don't. You hear conversations not meant for important ears. "You're observant," he says finally, "and discreet, valuable qualities." He stands and moves to a smaller, adjacent room. "Come." You follow, pulse racing, the bedchamber, the moment every concubine simultaneously fears and desires. What follows is nothing like the horror stories whispered among new arrivals, nor the romantic fantasies peddled by storytellers. It's brief, almost businesslike, not cruel, but not particularly tender either. He treats you with basic consideration, like a man fulfilling a duty, rather than indulging a passion. Afterward, he doesn't send you away immediately, which you're told is unusual. Instead, he asks more questions about the palace, about your observations of court dynamics. You answer truthfully when you can, evasively when you must. "You may go," he says finally. "The eunuchs will escort you back." You bow deeply, unsure if you've pleased him or not. His face reveals nothing. "Perhaps I'll summon you again," he adds as you reach the door. "You're restful. Most of the women here exhaust me with their schemes and flattery. It's as close to a compliment as you're likely to get." The next morning, you return to your garden duties as if nothing has changed. But everything has. The eunuchs treat you with slightly more respect. The other garden workers give you curious glances. Word travels impossibly fast in the Forbidden City. Lady Chen summons you that evening. "All well?" she asks without preamble. "He was kind," you say carefully. "We talked about the gardens and court gossip." "You talked?" Her eyebrows rise. "Before or after?" "Both." She sits back, processing this information. "That's unusual. He must have found you interesting." "Or useful," you suggest. She nods slowly. "Perhaps both. Did he say he would call for you again?" "He said, perhaps." "Better than no," she muses. "Now we wait and watch for signs." The signs appear 6 weeks later when you vomit into a flower bed while working in the East Garden, then again the next morning, and the next. Your monthly bleeding doesn't come. You tell no one, not even Lady Chen, not until you're certain, but the palace has eyes everywhere. The Empress's chief maid notices you refusing spicy foods at dinner. A eunuch sees you retching behind a pavilion. Whispers begin. Lady Sun finds you in the garden storage room taking inventory of winter bulbs. "You're pregnant," she says without preamble. You neither confirm nor deny it. Your silence is answer enough. "The Empress will know by nightfall," she continues. "You need protection. I have you and Lady Chen," you say. She laughs, short and sharp. "We're fifth-rank consorts with no children. Against the Empress, we're nothing." Fear coils in your stomach, colder than the morning sickness. What do I do? First, you move to the pregnancy chambers. It's protocol. All pregnant concubines live there under the royal physician's care. Second, you pray for a boy. Third, she pauses. You watch your food and drink every moment of every day. Poison, the word barely escapes your lips. It wouldn't be the first time a low-ranking concubine's pregnancy ended mysteriously. Her eyes are hard with remembered pain, and you wonder suddenly if she speaks from experience. That afternoon, you're officially moved to the pregnancy chambers, a separate section of the palace where expectant imperial concubines are housed. The rooms are larger, the furnishings finer than you're accustomed to. You're assigned 2 maids to attend you and a eunuch to taste all your food and drink. The other women in the pregnancy chambers regard you with mixed reactions. Some are openly hostile, long-time concubines who resent a garden girl receiving imperial favor. Others are cautiously friendly, seeing potential alliance with a woman carrying what might be the next imperial prince. One, a 4th-rank consort named Lady Zhao, who's 7 months pregnant with her 2nd child, takes you under her wing. "The first 3 months are the most dangerous," she tells you quietly as you sit in the communal courtyard, not just from natural causes, but from assistance. "Poison," you say, no longer afraid to name the threat. She nods. The Empress has her own children. She doesn't want competition, and there are other consorts with sons who don't want their positions threatened. "How did you survive?" you ask. "Vigilance and luck." She pats her swollen belly. "This one has been easier. Once you produce 1 healthy child, they're less likely to target you for a second. You absorb her advice like a sponge. Never eat food you haven't seen prepared. Don't use cosmetics or medicines from unknown sources. Don't allow maids to brush your hair unless you've brought them with you. Trust no one." As your belly begins to swell, your status rises accordingly. Eunuchs who once ignored you now bow respectfully. Maids attend to your every need. Lady Chen visits regularly, bringing gifts and court gossip. Even Lady Sun, more distant since your pregnancy was announced, sends exotic fruits and protective charms. The Emperor himself visits once, briefly. He seems pleased but detached, as if you're a prized broodmare who's performing as expected. He doesn't stay long, asking perfunctory questions about your health before returning to affairs of state. 4 months into your pregnancy, the first attack comes. Your evening tea tastes slightly bitter. You're about to drink it when your food taster, a young eunuch assigned to you, collapses, foaming at the mouth. Chaos erupts. Royal physicians are summoned. Guards question everyone. The eunuch survives barely, but someone clearly wanted you or your unborn child dead. The investigation reveals nothing. The poison was in the teapot, but anyone could have accessed the kitchen. Suspects range from the Empress's servants to rival concubines to political enemies of the Emperor himself. That night, Lady Zhao slips into your chambers. "You can't stay in the communal areas," she whispers. "Request private quarters. Say the other women's fragrances make you ill, and bring your own cook from outside, someone with no palace connections." "I don't know anyone outside," you admit. "After 3 years in the Forbidden City, your world has narrowed to these walls." "I do," she says. "My family will send someone, an old woman, too loyal to be bribed, too skilled to be easily replaced." You wonder why she's helping you, what she gains from your survival. As if reading your thoughts, she says, 3 years ago, someone poisoned my first child in the womb. I lost him at 7 months, a boy. Her eyes are dry but filled with ancient pain. I don't care whose son sits on the throne after this emperor, but I care about women being used as pawns in men's power games. You're moved to private quarters the next day. A week later, an elderly woman arrives from Lady Zhao's family, stooped, nearly toothless, but with sharp eyes that miss nothing. She takes over your kitchen, preparing every morsel that passes your lips. The second attack comes in your 6th month. Not poison this time, but a physical assault disguised as an accident. A loose roof tile falls while you're walking in the garden. It misses you by inches. The third attempt is more subtle. A court physician, one you've never seen before, arrives to examine you, claiming the chief physician sent him. Your new cook blocks the door, suspicious of this stranger. Guards are summoned and the man flees. He's caught at the palace gates with a pouch of herbs known to induce miscarriage. Through it all, your belly grows. The child within kicks strongly, a fighter like its mother. You speak to it at night, promising protection, safety, the security you never had. "You will be born," you whisper to your swollen abdomen. "You will survive. We both will." In your 8th month, you're too big to walk comfortably. Your feet, never properly bound but still damaged from the initial process, ache constantly from the extra weight. You spend your days sitting in your private garden, watching plum blossoms open in the early spring air. Lady Chen visits more frequently now, bringing reports of court intrigues and positioning herself as your chief ally. Lady Sun is more distant, though still nominally supportive. Lady Zhao, now nursing her newborn son, sends advice and small gifts for the baby. "The Empress is worried," Lady Chen reports one afternoon. "Her oldest son is sickly again. If you bear a healthy boy..." She doesn't finish the thought. She doesn't need to. A healthy imperial son elevates his mother to unimaginable heights. The emperor already has 3 sons by different concubines, but only one by the empress, and that boy has always been weak. "I don't want power," you say truthfully. "I just want my child to live." Lady Chen laughs. "In this place, those are the same thing. Without power, neither of you will survive long." Labor begins on a warm spring night. Pain like nothing you've imagined rips through your body. The midwives are summoned, old women with hands gentled by delivering generations of imperial children. "Breathe," they instruct, moving around you with practiced efficiency. Outside your chamber, eunuchs wait to announce the birth. Guards stand at every entrance, checking all who enter. No one takes chances with an imperial birth. The labor lasts 2 days, 2 days of agony, of pushing and bleeding and praying to gods you're not sure exist. Your world narrows to pain and breath and the urgent need to expel the life within you, and then, suddenly, release. A cry pierces the room, strong, indignant, alive. "A boy!" the chief midwife announces, and the room erupts in controlled excitement. They place him on your chest, red-faced, squalling, perfect. Your son, the Emperor's son, an imperial prince. Before you can fully grasp the miracle in your arms, he's taken away to be cleaned and examined. Protocol dictates that imperial children belong to the state more than to their mothers. The news spreads through the palace like wildfire. By nightfall, gifts arrive from officials and nobles seeking favor with the mother of a prince. The emperor himself visits briefly the next day, clearly pleased by his new son's robust health. "He will be called Prince Yong," he announces, "and you will be elevated to 4th rank consort. Just like that, you rise from garden girl to imperial consort, from nothing to something, all because your body performed its function and produced a male heir. Your son is moved to the imperial nursery, attended by wet nurses and nannies selected by court officials. You're allowed to visit daily, but not to nurse him yourself. Imperial consorts don't perform such basic functions." It breaks your heart to see another woman feeding your child, but you remind yourself that this separation is the price of his security, his future, his life. In the imperial nursery, he's surrounded by guards and tasters. No loose roof tiles will threaten him there. Your new quarters reflect your elevated status, larger, more luxurious, closer to the emperor's chambers. New maids attend you, women who a month ago would have sneered at a mere garden worker. They bow and scrape now, eager to serve the mother of Prince Yong. "Lady Chen is among your first visitors after the birth?" "You've done it," she says, genuine admiration in her voice. "From the gardens to 4th rank in 3 years. Unprecedented." "Because of your guidance," you acknowledge. She smiles. "We rise together. I've already been granted new privileges as your patron. The alliance continues, mutually beneficial. But now the balance of power has shifted slightly. You're no longer just her protégé. You're the mother of a prince. You have your own source of influence now. Lady Sun visits too, bringing an exquisite jade rattle for the baby. The Empress has taken notice of you, she warns. Be careful. Your son may be protected by his imperial blood, but you remain vulnerable. What would you suggest, you ask? Make yourself useful to the Empress, Lady Sun advises. Find a way to serve her interests rather than threaten them. A woman in her position has many needs that aren't being met by her usual sycophants. It's wise counsel. The Empress, for all her power, is still a woman navigating a man's world. Perhaps there's room for alliance rather than enmity. As you recover from childbirth, you begin planning your next moves in this deadly game. You're no longer fighting just for your own survival, but for your son's future. Every alliance, every decision, every whispered secret now carries greater weight. You're a mother in the Forbidden City, the most dangerous and powerful position a woman can hold. You're 18 now, mother to a prince and officially a 4th rank consort. Your son, Prince Yong, is 7 months old, growing stronger every day in the imperial nursery. Your rooms are luxurious, your clothes fine silk, your hair adorned with jade pins. Servants bow as you pass. Eunuchs defer to your wishes. What a difference a child makes, especially a male one. Yet with status comes new dangers. The shadows have grown deeper. The knives sharper, the smiles more poisonous. "The Empress has requested your presence," announces a senior eunuch one spring morning. He bows respectfully, but you don't miss the flicker of concern in his eyes. Your heart skips. In the 2 years since your arrival at the Forbidden City, you've never once been summoned by the Empress. You've glimpsed her at formal ceremonies, of course, a severe woman in her 40s with impeccable posture and cold, assessing eyes. But direct interaction? Never. Or when, you ask, trying to keep your voice steady. Immediately, you dress carefully in your finest robes, elegant but not showy, jewelry that denotes your rank but doesn't challenge hers, your hair arranged in the latest court style but simpler than you might normally wear it. Every detail sends a message, and the message you want to convey is respectful deference, not competition. The Empress's quarters lie in the heart of the palace, a series of interconnected courtyards and pavilions larger than entire villages. Her personal guards, women, not eunuchs, search you thoroughly before allowing you to enter the innermost chamber. The room takes your breath away, jade and gold everywhere. Carved screens depicting immortals and mythical beasts, silks so fine they seem to float, and at the centre, seated on a raised dais, the Empress herself. You kowtow deeply, pressing your forehead to the cool marble floor. "Rise," she commands. Her voice is surprisingly melodious. You stand, keeping your eyes appropriately lowered. "So you're the garden girl who caught my husband's eye," she says, studying you with frank curiosity, "and gave him yet another son." "Your Highness honours me by remembering," you murmur. She laughs, short and sharp. "I remember everyone who enters my husband's bed, and everyone who bears his children, especially the sons." You say nothing, waiting. In the Forbidden City, patience often reveals more than questions. "Your son is strong," she continues, "healthier than most. The physicians say he has a good constitution. Heaven has blessed him," you reply carefully. "Heaven and the proper bloodlines." She taps her fingers on the armrest of her chair. "Tell me about your family." The question is a trap. Everyone knows you're a farmer's daughter, plucked from obscurity. To pretend otherwise would be laughable, but to admit your low origins too directly might seem like highlighting the fact that a peasant girl has produced a stronger heir than the Empress herself. "My family served the soil, Your Highness, simple people who worked hard and honoured their ancestors. No notable bloodlines, no distinguished relatives, none that I know of, Your Highness." She nods, as if confirming something to herself. "And yet you've risen quickly here, 4th rank consort in just 3 years, with valuable alliances." So she knows about Lady Chen, Lady Sun, Lady Zhao. Of course she does. The Empress has spies everywhere. "I've been fortunate to receive guidance from those wiser than myself," you say. "Guidance," she repeats. "Yes, I suppose that's one word for it. Politics is another." She rises suddenly, moving to a window that overlooks a private garden. You remain standing, not daring to move without permission. "Do you know why I summoned you?" she asks without turning. "No, Your Highness." "Because I wanted to see if you're as clever as they say." Now she turns, fixing you with that penetrating gaze, "and whether you might be useful to me." The statement hangs in the air between you. The Empress, the most powerful woman in China, is suggesting an alliance, or at least an arrangement of mutual benefit. "How might I serve Your Highness?" you ask, choosing each word with care. "My son is delicate," she says bluntly. "The Crown Prince has always been sickly. His position is secure. He is the eldest after all. But there are those who whisper he may not be strong enough to rule when the time comes." You know the whispers she means. Everyone does. The Crown Prince is 15, but looks 12, thin and pale, prone to fevers and coughing fits. His brothers, including your own son, appear far healthier. "These whispers could become shouts," she continues, "especially if certain factions gain influence with the Emperor, factions that might prefer a more robust heir, like your son. The implication is clear. Some would prefer to see Prince Yong elevated over the Crown Prince." "I have no such ambitions for my son, Your Highness," you say truthfully. "Prince Yong will serve his elder brother loyally when the time comes." Or noble sentiments, she says, a hint of mockery in her voice. But whether you harbour such ambitions doesn't matter. Others will harbour them for you. Already certain ministers are positioning themselves closer to you, sending gifts, paying compliments. Have you noticed? You have. In recent months, court officials who once looked through you now seek your attention. Gifts arrive daily, not just for the baby, but for you. Invitations to poetry readings and music performances, subtle inquiries about your preferences, your opinions. I've noticed some increased attention, you admit. Of course you have. You're not stupid. She returns to her seat. Here is what I propose. You will keep me informed of these approaches. Who makes them, what they offer, what they seek in return. You will appear receptive but non-committal, and you will make it absolutely clear at every opportunity that Prince Yong is being raised to support his elder brother, not replace him. And in return, you dare to ask. She smiles, and for a moment you glimpse the beauty she must have been in her youth. In return, I ensure your son grows up safe and privileged without the accidents that sometimes befall imperial children who become inconvenient. The threat is veiled but unmistakable. Cooperate, or your son might meet with misfortune. I understand, Your Highness, you say, bowing your head. I think you do. She gestures, dismissing you. You'll report to me monthly through my personal maid, Lotus. No one else, not even your allies Lady Chen and Lady Sun, need know of our arrangement. You bow deeply and back away as protocol demands. Just as you reach the door, her voice stops you. One more thing. The Emperor has been asking about you. It seems he finds your company refreshing. When he summons you next, remember where your true loyalties lie. The comment chills you. The Empress is warning you not to use the Emperor's favour against her interests. Not if you want your son to remain safe. You return to your quarters in a daze, mind racing. You've just been drawn into the highest level of palace politics. The Empress herself sees you as both useful and potentially dangerous. Lady Chen notices your distraction when she visits that afternoon for your regular game of Go. What troubles you? She asks, studying the board. You've made 3 careless moves already. You consider telling her about the Empress's summons, but something holds you back. The Empress explicitly told you not to share your arrangement with Lady Chen. Is it a test? Would the Empress's spies report back if you betrayed her confidence? Just tired, you lie. The baby was fussy last night. Lady Chen accepts this explanation, but her sharp eyes suggest she knows you're hiding something. Later that day, you visit the imperial nursery. Prince Yong recognizes you now, reaching his chubby arms toward you when you enter. The sight still makes your heart constrict with love and fear. In the Forbidden City, love is the most dangerous emotion of all. It gives others leverage. The wet nurse hands him over, and you hold him close, breathing in his sweet baby smell. Around you, nursemaids and guards maintain a respectful distance, but you know they watch and listen to everything. Your son received a gift today, says the head nursemaid, presenting a tiny jade pendant on a red silk cord from Minister Wu's household. Minister Wu, the Minister of Rights, one of the most powerful officials in court. Why would he send a gift directly to your infant son? A generous gesture, you say carefully. Has it been tested? Of course, it's quite safe. You examine the pendant, a dragon and phoenix in perfect detail, far too valuable for a simple gift of congratulations, especially 7 months after the birth. Send a suitable acknowledgement, you instruct, handing the pendant back. You don't want the valuable item near your son, no matter how many tests it's passed, and keep it with his other treasures, meaning locked away. That night, unable to sleep, you start a mental inventory of the political forces gathering around your son. Minister Wu represents the conservative faction, traditionalists who maintain strict Confucian values and resist foreign influence. By contrast, Minister Zhao from the Board of Works, who sent an elaborate mechanical toy last week, leads the progressive faction that favors increased trade with outsiders. Both powerful, both suddenly interested in a fourth-rank consort's baby son. Then there are the military commanders. General Feng sent an exquisite miniature sword. Admiral Hong contributed a pearl said to protect from drowning. Even the chief eunuch, who officially serves the emperor but maintains his own power base, has shown unusual attention to Prince Yong's welfare. All because your son appears strong while the crown prince remains weak, all positioning themselves for future influence should succession become complicated. The emperor summons you 3 days later. This time, you're brought to his chambers with full imperial protocol, carried in a sedan chair by eunuchs, wrapped in silk so no one can see you. The ritual befits your new rank. He's in a contemplative mood, sitting by a window overlooking a moonlit garden. He gestures for you to join him, pouring tea with his own hands rather than calling for servants. An extraordinary intimacy. "How is our son?" he asks. "He's strong and growing, Your Majesty. The physicians say he has your constitution." He nods, pleased. "And you, are your new quarters satisfactory?" "More than satisfactory, Your Majesty. I am overwhelmed by your generosity." "Not generosity. You've earned your position." He sips his tea. "The Empress received you recently." "So he knows." "Of course he does. Just as the Empress knows when he summons you." "Yes, Your Majesty. She was most gracious." "What did you discuss?" Another test. The Emperor and Empress maintain separate courts, separate spheres of influence. What passes between them is often as formal and negotiated as relations between separate kingdoms. She spoke of Prince Yong's health, Your Majesty, and of her own son, the Crown Prince. "Nothing else?" His eyes sharpen. You hesitate, weighing risks. Lie to the Emperor and be caught? Tell the truth and betray the Empress's confidence? She suggested that certain factions might see Prince Yong as a rival to the Crown Prince, you say carefully. She wanted to ensure I understood this was not her view, nor would it be mine. The Emperor watches you, expression unreadable. Clever. You've told me the substance while maintaining her confidence. He sets down his teacup. The Empress is right to be concerned. The Crown Prince's position is secure by law and tradition, but not everyone respects such constraints. Your Majesty has many strong sons, you venture. Prince Yong will be proud to serve his elder brother when the time comes, as he should. The Emperor's gaze turns distant, but fate can be unpredictable. The strong sometimes falter, the weak sometimes find strength. A wise ruler prepares for all possibilities. What is he suggesting? That the Crown Prince might not inherit after all, that your son might be considered as an alternative? The thought both thrills and terrifies you. The best service I can offer Prince Yong is to raise him to be loyal to his father and brother, you say, threading the needle between the Emperor's implicit suggestion and the Empress's explicit warning. He smiles slightly. You navigate these waters well for one so new to them. I've had good teachers. Yes, Lady Chen has served you well, as has Lady Sun in her way. He shifts, his manner changing subtly. But tell me, what do you think of Minister Wu? So he's noticed the minister's interest in your son too. I don't know him well, Your Majesty. He sent generous gifts to Prince Yong. Wu seeks advantage wherever he can find it. He believes the old ways are best. Tradition, hierarchy, rigid adherence to ritual. His faction has been gaining influence. And you find this concerning, Your Majesty? The Emperor studies you for a long moment. I find it limiting. China must adapt to survive. The barbarians press at our borders. New ideas challenge old certainties. We cannot meet these challenges by looking only backward. You realize he's sharing political philosophy with you, something he'd normally discuss with ministers, not concubines. Your value to him is changing, evolving beyond the physical or even maternal. He sees you as someone he can talk to, someone with a mind worth engaging. Progress and tradition need not be enemies, you suggest carefully. The strongest tree bends with the wind, but keeps its roots deep in the soil. He looks pleased with the metaphor. Precisely. This is why I find your perspective valuable. You come from outside court circles, yet you understand their dynamics. You see with fresh eyes. The conversation continues, ranging from court politics to agricultural innovations to poetry. You tread carefully, offering thoughts without presumption, questions without challenging his authority. By the time he finally dismisses you, dawn is breaking over the palace roofs. As the eunuchs carry you back to your quarters, your mind spins with implications. The Emperor sees you as more than just Prince Yong's mother. The Empress views you as both a tool and a potential threat. Ministers and officials circle like hungry wolves, looking for advantage through your son. Your position has never been more secure or more precarious. Over the following months, you navigate these treacherous waters with increasing skill. You report to the Empress as agreed, sharing information about ministerial approaches without revealing your conversations with the Emperor. You receive gifts and overtures from officials without committing to any faction. You maintain your alliances with Lady Chen and Lady Sun, whose knowledge of court intrigue helps you anticipate dangers. Prince Yong thrives, growing from infant to toddler with remarkable vigor. At his first birthday celebration, an elaborate affair attended by the Emperor himself, he walks steadily across the ceremonial carpet to bow before his father, a feat that draws gasps of admiration from the assembled courtiers. The Crown Prince, forced to attend despite a lingering cough, watches with ill-disguised envy. Your son's obvious health and vitality make him increasingly valuable as a political piece, and increasingly vulnerable to those who might see him as a threat. You double the guards around his nursery. You install your own food tasters alongside the imperial ones. You trust no medicine, no toy, no visitor without thorough inspection. The Empress, surprisingly, becomes something of an ally in these protective measures. Whatever her feelings about your son's superior health compared to her own child, she recognizes that stability depends on all imperial children remaining safe. Succession crises triggered by suspicious deaths benefit no one. The Crown Prince has requested to meet his younger brother, she informs you during one of your monthly reports. I think it would be beneficial for them to develop a relationship early. The suggestion alarms you. The Crown Prince is 16 now, intelligent but bitter about his persistent ill health. What if he resents Prince Yong's robust constitution? What if he sees a future rival rather than a brother? As your highness wishes, you say, hiding your concern. Don't worry so obviously, she chides. My son understands his position. Better he knows his brothers as allies than sees them only as threats from a distance. The meeting is arranged with elaborate protocol. Both princes, despite one being barely a year old, are dressed in formal robes, indicating their rank and lineage. The Crown Prince sits on a small throne, while Prince Yong is carried in by his nursemaids. You watch from behind a screen, heart in your throat, as your son is placed before his elder brother. To your surprise, the Crown Prince's stern expression softens when Prince Yong, ignoring all protocol, toddles forward and reaches curiously for the jade pendant hanging from his brother's belt. He's fearless, the Crown Prince remarks, letting the baby examine the ornament, like father must have been. "He's strong, Your Highness," says the nursemaid, "like his elder brother will be when health returns." A diplomatic answer. The Crown Prince doesn't seem convinced, but he pats Prince Yong's head with something like affection. "When I am emperor," he says, "I will need loyal brothers to help me rule, better than ministers who think only of their own advancement." Is it a genuine sentiment or a calculated performance for those watching? Either way, it represents a potential shift in how your son is viewed, not as a threat to the Crown Prince, but as a future supporter and defender. As Prince Yong is carried out, the Crown Prince catches your eye through the screen. He knows you're there, watching. His gaze is unreadable, but he inclines his head slightly. Acknowledgement, if not exactly respect. That night, the Emperor summons you again. These meetings have become more frequent, once a month at least, sometimes more often. Court gossip suggests you've become something of a favourite, though not yet elevated to the status of imperial consort. "Our sons met today," he says as you pour his tea. "Yes, Your Majesty. The Crown Prince was most gracious. He is intelligent, my eldest. What he lacks in physical strength, he makes up for in mental acuity." The Emperor sounds both proud and concerned. "Did you know he's been studying the military classics, strategy, tactics, the art of war? A proper education for a future emperor, you offer, perhaps. But he shows little interest in poetry, calligraphy, or music, the civilizing arts that balance martial knowledge." He sighs. "I worry about what kind of ruler he will become." You remain silent. This conversation veers too close to treason to risk a comment. "Prince Yong seems differently inclined," he continues. "Even at his young age, he shows curiosity, engagement with the world. The nursemaids say he smiles at music." "He does, Your Majesty. He waves his hands when the court musicians practice near the nursery." The Emperor nods, pleased. "Good. A ruler needs appreciation for beauty as well as strength." A ruler. Has he said too much? His expression gives nothing away. "All your sons have different gifts," you say carefully. "Together they will bring honor to your legacy." He seems satisfied with this diplomatic answer. The conversation shifts to other matters. Court intrigues, provincial reports, the eternal bureaucratic squabbles between ministries. As dawn approaches, he dismisses you with unusual warmth, squeezing your hand briefly as you bow to leave. It's the most personal gesture he's ever made toward you. Back in your quarters, you find a message waiting, a folded paper slipped under your door. Inside, written in a careful hand, are 2 lines. "The phoenix rises only when the dragon falls. Prepare your nest carefully, mother bird." No signature, no clue to the sender, but the meaning seems clear enough. Someone believes the Crown Prince's position is vulnerable. Someone thinks your son might replace him. Someone is encouraging you to prepare for this possibility. You burn the note immediately. Such words are dangerous, even to possess. But the warning, or is it a promise, echoes in your mind as you prepare for sleep. Your position has never been stronger. 4th-rank consort, mother of a healthy prince, confidant to the emperor, informant to the empress, ally to powerful court factions, yet the shadows grow longer, the knives sharper, the smiles more poisonous. You're 18, and the Forbidden City has taught you its most important lesson. The higher you rise, the farther you have to fall. And in this place, no one catches you when you fall. They just watch and wait, and take what you leave behind. You're 22, your son now a toddling target in a palace that chews up hope and spits out bones. You've dodged knives, both steel and whispered, but the air's heavier now, thick with plague and panic. The emperor is sick. The court's a mess of whispers, and the word succession slithers through silk curtains. Prince Yong, your beautiful boy, has just turned 3, old enough to speak in full sentences, to recognize Chinese characters, to bow perfectly in court ceremonies, old enough to be dangerous to those who support the crown prince, old enough to be a pawn worth sacrificing in the great game. You've risen to 3rd-rank consort through the Emperor's continued favour. Your chambers now sit in the inner palace complex, just 2 courtyards away from the imperial bedchambers. Your robes are embroidered with gold thread, your hair ornaments worth more than your entire village's yearly harvest. When you walk through the palace, lower-ranking women kowtow, eunuchs scurry to fulfil your wishes. But wealth and status offer no protection against what's coming. Perhaps they even make you more vulnerable. The Emperor won't last the season, Lady Chen tells you during a private tea ceremony. She's risen alongside you, now a 3rd-rank consort herself, still your ally after all these years. His physicians say the infection has reached his lungs. They've been saying that for months, you reply, careful even in private. Walls have ears, especially palace walls. This time, it's different. They've summoned the imperial clansmen from the provinces. The succession council meets daily. Your stomach tightens. The crown prince is 19 now, still physically weak but mentally sharp. By law and tradition, the throne is his. But law and tradition mean little when power hangs in the balance. What have you heard about Prince Yong, you ask, trying to sound casual. Lady Chen's eyes flick to the door, checking for eavesdroppers. Minister Wu's faction mentions him often. They say a strong emperor is needed in dangerous times. The implication is clear. Some factions would prefer your healthy, vigorous son to the sickly crown prince, despite the age difference. A regent could rule until Prince Yong comes of age. He's 3, you say flatly. He can barely dress himself. Age matters less than bloodlines and alliances. Wu's faction would control the regency. Through Prince Yong, they would control China. And through you, they think they would control Prince Yong. What they don't understand is that imperial children belong to the state, not their mothers. If they elevate your son to emperor, you'd likely be separated from him entirely, relegated to a ceremonial role while advisors raise him to their liking. The crown prince is the rightful heir, you say firmly. Lady Chen studies you over her teacup. You sound like the Empress. The Empress understands stability. A succession crisis benefits no one except those who wish to seize power for themselves. The conversation shifts to safer topics, but the warning lingers. Your son has become the centre of a dangerous political calculus, with your own position hanging in the balance. That night, a palace maid delivers a message, not written, too dangerous for that, but whispered directly in your ear. The Empress requests your presence at the hour of the rat. Come alone, tell no one. Midnight. The palace sleeps, or pretends to. You slip through dark corridors, accompanied by a single trusted maid who waits outside while you enter the Empress's inner chambers. The room is dimly lit by a single oil lamp. The Empress sits behind a screen, her figure a shadow against the translucent paper. Even in private, certain protocols must be maintained. The Emperor will die within the week, she says, without preamble. The court physicians have told me confidentially, you kowtow, stunned by the bluntness of her statement. Rise, she commands. We have little time for formalities. What do you know of Minister Wu's plans? Only rumours, Your Highness. They speak of the need for a strong emperor. They speak of your son. The Empress's voice is tight with controlled anger. They have approached General Feng and the provincial governors. They seek military support for a regency council. Prince Yong is 3 years old, you say, echoing your earlier conversation with Lady Chen. He cannot rule. Of course not. Wu would rule through him, and to secure their position they would first need to remove the crown prince. A cold fear grips you. Remove can only mean one thing. My son is the rightful heir, the Empress continues. The ministers may not love him, but the common people respect tradition. Civil war benefits no one. What would you have me do, Your Highness? The Empress rises, moving around the screen to face you directly, an extraordinary breach of protocol that underscores the gravity of the situation. Publicly declare your support for the Crown Prince. Take Prince Yong to pay homage to his elder brother. Make it clear to all factions that you reject any plan to place your son on the throne. You bow your head. Of course, Your Highness. There's more. She hesitates, unusual for a woman normally so decisive. You must leave the palace. Your head snaps up. Leave? For your safety and Prince Yong's. As long as you both remain here, you will be tools for ambitious men. The Crown Prince cannot secure his rule while potential rivals exist within the palace walls. You want us exiled. The realization hits like a physical blow. Not exiled, protected. The Empress's expression softens slightly. I have arranged a residence in Suzhou, beautiful gardens, a staff of servants, an appropriate income. You will live in comfort, and Prince Yong will receive the education befitting an imperial prince. When he is older, if he proves loyal, he may be recalled to serve his brother's court. And if I refuse? Her eyes harden. Then I cannot guarantee your safety or your son's when my husband dies and the real struggles begin. The palace is no place for children during a succession. She's right, and you know it. The history of imperial China is littered with dead princes, casualties of succession struggles. Even if the crown prince secures the throne without bloodshed, your son will always represent a potential threat to be eliminated. When must we leave, you ask, resignation in your voice. Tomorrow night. Tell no one, not even Lady Chen, especially not Lady Chen. The warning surprises you. Lady Chen has been your ally for years. You think she would betray me? I think her survival depends on maintaining relationships with multiple factions. She cannot afford to be associated with someone who defies Minister Wu's plans. You return to your chambers, mind racing. In less than a day, you must prepare to leave the only home you've known for the past 6 years. The palace that took you as a child will spit you out as a woman, neither fully welcome nor fully rejected. The next day passes in a blur of controlled panic. You can pack almost nothing without arousing suspicion. You visit Prince Yong in the nursery, heart breaking at the thought of tearing him away from the only home he's ever known, but relieved he'll be spared the deadly politics of succession. We're going on a journey tomorrow, you tell him as he plays with carved wooden animals. A special trip, just you and me. Will father come? He asks, his innocent question a dagger to your heart. No, my love, father must stay here, but we'll be together. You don't tell him you'll likely never see the Emperor again. At 3, he can't understand such permanent separations. You can barely grasp it yourself. As commanded, you take Prince Yong to pay respects to the Crown Prince that afternoon. It's a public ceremony, witnessed by court officials, including Minister Wu, whose face darkens when you guide your son to bow deeply before his elder brother. Prince Yong offers prayers for his brother's health and prosperity, you announce clearly, and pledges his eternal loyalty to the future emperor. The crown prince, thin and pale but alert, acknowledges the gesture with surprising warmth. My brother's loyalty honors our father. I shall remember it when I sit upon the dragon throne. The message is unmistakable. You have chosen sides, publicly and irrevocably. Minister Wu leaves the ceremony without speaking to you, his plans visibly disrupted. That night, as the palace settles into uneasy sleep, a closed sedan chair arrives at your private garden gate. Two eunuchs, loyal to the empress, help you and Prince Yong inside, covering you with dark cloth. The chair-bearers, not palace servants but hired men from the city, lift you and begin the journey out of the forbidden city. The gates open silently, guards bribed or loyal to the empress stepping aside. For the first time in 6 years, you pass beyond the red walls that have been both prison and protection. The journey to Suzhou takes 2 weeks. You travel with a small escort. The story is that you're a wealthy merchant's widow returning to her hometown. Prince Yong, bewildered by the sudden changes, alternates between excitement at seeing the outside world and tantrums demanding to return to his familiar nursery. The residence in Suzhou is as beautiful as promised. Set beside a willow-lined canal, the house features elegant pavilions, a garden with artificial mountains and a lotus pond, and quarters for a modest staff of servants. Not as luxurious as the palace, but far grander than anything you could have imagined in your farming village days. 2 weeks after your arrival, news reaches you. The emperor is dead. The crown prince has ascended the dragon throne without incident, taking the reign title Everlasting Peace. Minister Wu has been dismissed from court, sent to a distant province. The empress, now the Empress Dowager, remains influential, guiding her son's early rule. You've escaped the deadliest moment of transition. But what comes next? The answer arrives in the form of an imperial edict 3 months later. It's read aloud by a court official who travels specifically to Suzhou for the purpose. By heaven's mandate, the emperor decrees, Prince Yong shall henceforth be known as the Duke of Peaceful Loyalty, holding lands in Jiangnan province. His mother, the imperial consort, shall be designated the Lady of Tranquil Virtue. They shall maintain their residence in Suzhou, receiving appropriate stipends and honours. The Duke shall be educated in classics, military arts and administration, preparing him for future service to the throne. The message is clear. You haven't been forgotten, but you won't be returning to court. Your son has been given a noble title rather than remaining a prince, a demotion wrapped in an honour, removing him from the imperial succession while providing him a dignified position. It's the best outcome you could have hoped for. Your son will live. You will live. You'll have wealth, comfort, and a measure of freedom unknown within palace walls. Life in Suzhou settles into a rhythm unlike anything you've known before. Without the constant deadly politics of the Forbidden City, you discover what ordinary wealthy Chinese women experience. You can walk in your garden without fearing assassination. You can eat without food tasters. You can speak without measuring every word. Prince Yong, now the young Duke, thrives in this environment. Tutors come to instruct him in calligraphy, classics, mathematics, and martial arts. He grows tall and strong, his father's son in physique if not in future. Years pass. You turn 25, then 30, then 35. Your son becomes a young man, respected in the region for his intelligence and fairness. Local officials consult him on difficult matters. Merchants seek his approval for major ventures. He shows administrative talent that might have made him a fine emperor in another life. Occasionally, news comes from the capital. The emperor, your son's half-brother, has consolidated power. The Empress Dowager has retired to a Buddhist temple. Lady Chen eventually fell from favour, though rumours suggest she lives comfortably in a country estate rather than suffering execution. The palace politics that once consumed your every waking thought now seem distant, almost trivial. You realise the enormity of what you escaped, not just death or disgrace, but a lifetime of artificial constraints, of never feeling safe, of seeing your son used as a political tool until he was either broken by the system or corrupted by it. On your 40th birthday, a surprise visitor arrives, a palace eunuch, aged now but still recognizable as one who served the old empress. He brings gifts and a letter written in the Empress Dowager's own hand. "You chose wisely," she writes. "The palace consumed those who remained. Your son lives. Mine rules, but never sleeps peacefully. Perhaps you found the better path." It's as close to an admission of envy as you'll ever receive from the woman who was once the most powerful female in China. That night, sitting in your garden pavilion watching fireflies dance over the lotus pond, your son joins you. He's 21 now, recently married to the daughter of a respected scholar official family. The match was based on compatibility rather than politics, another freedom you'd never have had in the palace. "Do you ever regret leaving?" he asks suddenly. "The palace, I mean, the power you had there." You consider the question carefully. "I regret leaving certain people, Lady Chen, Lady Sun, even Lady Zhao, who helped us survive. But the palace itself? No, it was beautiful and terrible, like living inside a tiger's mouth. Magnificent, but always one moment from being devoured. I might have been emperor," he muses, a rare acknowledgement of the path not taken. "You might have been dead," you correct gently. "Few imperial sons survived succession struggles intact. Instead, I'm a minor noble in a provincial city. You're alive, free to make your own choices, to marry for compatibility rather than alliance, to walk in gardens without armed guards, to eat without fear of poison." You take his hand. "I was sold to the palace at 12. I never had choices. You do." He smiles, squeezing your hand. Freedom instead of power. An unusual choice in our history. Perhaps that's why we're still here to discuss it. Later, as you prepare for sleep in your comfortable chamber, a room that's truly yours, not assigned based on imperial favor, you reflect on the journey that brought you here. From a farmer's daughter to imperial consort to provincial noblewoman, from terrified child to political survivor to something approaching contentment. The path makes no sense from the outside, following neither fairy tale narratives of triumph nor tragic arcs of destruction. Instead, it's messier, more human. You survived, you protected your child, you found a way to live with dignity beyond the gilded cage that nearly consumed you. Perhaps that's the reality of a concubine's life, not the romantic fantasies of imperial favor, nor the simplistic tales of victimhood, but the complex navigation of impossibly constrained choices, the constant calculations of survival, the rare opportunities seized when possible, the wisdom to know when to advance and when to retreat. As you drift towards sleep, more comfortable in your provincial bed than you ever were on imperial silk, you think of all the women still trapped in the forbidden city's harem, hundreds of concubines competing for favor that's always temporary, status that's always conditional, power that's never truly their own. You escaped, not perfectly, not without cost, but enough to build something real from the ruins of those impossible constraints. In the quiet darkness of a Suzhou night, far from the palace intrigues that once defined your existence, you realize you found something few imperial consorts ever discover. Not just survival, but peace. And in the end, that might be the greatest victory of all. And with that, close your eyes and drift off to sleep.